Hey there, welcome to Dealmakers Decoded. This is a series featuring the top deal makers and their top tip to help you close more deals faster. Today we have Michelle Lam from Indeed. Michelle, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Love to get a quick little intro about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Michelle Lam, as you mentioned. I'm a director of sales at Indeed. I've been here for almost 5 years now. I started at the company back in June 2013 as an account executive. I worked my way up to senior account executive, team lead, and now director of sales.
Wow.
So I'm managing a team of 11 account executives and senior account executives.
Whew, that's awesome. Thanks again for coming on, Michelle. So obviously, been super successful. What's one tip that you'd want to share with other people who are looking to advance in their career in sales?
Yeah, and you know what? I have I interview people a lot, and one thing I always ask people is, what do you think it takes to successfully be able to sell a product or service, right? Because obviously we're in the business of selling, so that's important. And all too often I hear people say, well, I think it's really important to establish a good rapport with your client and build a good relationship. Make sure that you're likable and relatable, which obviously is very important. Especially if we're in the business of selling things, we want to be likable. But it goes beyond that, right? Just because someone likes you doesn't necessarily mean that they're still going to buy your product. So I think it's super important to be able to uncover your client's needs and their pain points, and then be able to relate how whatever it is that you're selling is going to solve that want or that need. So really making that connection and tying it back.
Do you just not build rapport at all, or do you have a certain amount of rapport you build before you go into it? Like, what specifically would you recommend people thinking about?
No, I think it's definitely important to establish a good relationship and build a good rapport with the client from the beginning. But then also just ask questions and really relate to the client and really show that you have a care for what it is that they're struggling with, what it is that they need to help them do their job more effectively. And then from there, introduce your product and your service, and then show how that's going to be applicable to their want, their challenge, their need.
So personalizing the value prop based upon questions that you get.
Yeah, so we, when we have new hires come in, we obviously have various trainings that we have them go through. So one thing that we teach them, one model that we have them, really stick by is fact benefit application. So, say a fact related to your service or your product, show the benefit of it, and then apply it to your specific client and their specific situation.
Well, any other last pieces or takeaways that you'd recommend thinking about?
Especially with sales reps, they are armed with all this great product knowledge, and they want to just kind of throw everything at their client all at once. But I think it's important to only pick and choose what's relevant to your client, and then make that connection for them, because people aren't going to necessarily do that for themselves, right? So show how your product or service is going to, again, solve a want, solve a need, to help you, get that close quicker.
Perfect. And I guess one last question, since you are a director and you're managing 11 people, what's one trait that you see having your top reps really separating them from the core performers?
I think just being assertive, right? So, positioning yourself as the expert, not asking your client or letting them kind of dictate the conversation. Just be very assertive in steering the conversation, asking the right questions, and then showing them and talking about how your product or your service is going to solve that. And then, don't give them options. Tell them this is what you're going to have to do, or this is what you should do.
Yeah, Michelle Lam, Director of Sales at Indeed. Thanks so much for coming on, Michelle. Thank you all for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe to get these right to your inbox, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thanks so much, Chris.